What's happening, good people? Welcome to the channel. I'm Wes, aka Mr. Budget Watch. Today we are reviewing this new Vostok. So this is the 2403/581880. So not the best name for a watch, but I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So this one I purchased from Vostok Inc. Link will be in the description. And the reason why is because of the prices. So I'll talk more about that later on in the review. So let's get all these sizes out of the way, because this one is a very small little dress watch, as you can see. So this is 37.8 in diameter, and that's from down here up to the 50. It's 40.2 with the unusually placed crown. 10.2 millimeters thick. We have a 19 mil lug width, 45.1 lug to lug. The crown is a very compact 4.7 mil. Have an acrylic crystal, a leather strap. This is not the stock one, by the way, but I'll show you the stock one in a moment. The case is brass and chrome plated. The water resistance is non-existent. I couldn't find anything for it, so basically treat this one like a gremlin and keep it away from water, otherwise it might multiply. I'm just kidding. It probably will get broken, so yeah, just keep it away from water. It weighs 44 gram on the supplied leather strap. So let's get in and talk more about it. So we're going to start off with that crystal first. You can see it's a very subtly domed acrylic crystal. I really do like acrylic because it's easy to fix if it gets scratched. Just get a little bit of polywatch and it fixes up. Mineral crystal, you can't really fix it. Sapphire, you're probably not likely to damage that anyway, but acrylic, I like it because it's got that really nice vintage look to it. Plays with the dial so nicely, and you can actually sort of fix it unless it gets cracked. So yeah, very nice. So moving on to the dial, because the bezel is pretty much non-existent. You can see we have a train track, minute track, and then numerals all the way around the edge. Moving in, you can see we have some very nice printed Roman numerals, and I think the Roman numerals just really set this watch off and just make a very cohesive looking design. At that 9 o'clock, we do have the small seconds complication. One of my favourite complications actually is the small seconds, and this one is just really nicely done. I think it would have looked a little bit nicer if it was in line, or maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. I'm just being a little bit nitpicky. Under the 12 o'clock, you can see we have Vostok printed, and then it's 17 jewels there. And I'm presuming down at the bottom it says Russian made, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. To be fair, I don't read or understand Russian, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. But yeah, it's a very beautiful watch. I love those hands as well. You can see, I'm not really sure what the style of them is called. We've got a very simplistic one on the small seconds, but these ones I'm not entirely sure on the specific name for them. But you can see they're very slender and beautiful, and they've got these like little circles in them as well. I just think they're so well done, and they just fit the watch perfectly. The dial next, and the shade of blue used on this dial is just beautiful. You can see it's got like this effect on it, and it's just so nice for the price point. It honestly, as soon as I got it out of the box, it blew me away by how nice it was, and I just love the contrast that white printing has against the blue dial. So moving on to the case, you can see it is a very slender watch. It's 10.2 millimeters thick, so thin, and a lot of that is the crystal as well. So high polished sides, we've got a little step there and a little step there, and it's sort of like a little bit raised in the middle. Drilled lugs as well, which is always nice to see, makes for those easy strap changes. And I just love these really quirky and unique designed lugs. I've never seen lugs like that before on a watch, and I just think they're so nice. They've just got a really cool vintage air to them, and I just think they're absolutely beautiful. I mean, just look at it. I mean, it is so nice. To this side again, we've got that same profile, and then the polished crown. Not the easiest to use with it being so close to the lug. It is just off the 2 o'clock position. I wish it was in line, and that way you just had a little bit more room and you wouldn't knock the lugs. But yeah, design wise, beautiful. Super thin, slender, really, really nice looking watch. So as there's no loom, we're not going to talk about that. We'll have a quick look at that case back. So you can see we've got this sandblasted, bead blasted finish, and then a stamped crest on it, and that is pretty much it. It is a pop off as well. You can see you've got a little notch there to get a tool just to pop the case back off. High polish surrounding it, and I love the work in that as well. It's so nice. Very, very beautiful done, this watch. When I saw this watch from Vostok, I was just blown away. I was like, Vostok actually make dress watches, and they've done a really good job with it. So let's talk about the strap and comfort. So like I said, this is not the stock strap, and I'll actually show you the stock one now. So this is the one that comes on it. So it's like this bamboo style, leather inner and branded, good quality stitching. It's a little bit stiff and a little bit rigid, which is not the reason why it's off the watch, by the way. High polished buckle, a little bit cookie cutter, but it's you know, pretty well made. Feels good quality, nicely done. We've got one fixed keeper, one floating keeper. So it's nice, well made, but a little bit rigid. This is the other side. You can see some more Russian there. I'm not really sure what it says. No quick release though, which is a bit of a pain. Nice quality stitching, a few adjustment holes. Again, we've got that faux bamboo look. Colour match stitching on this side. And again, it's just a little bit plastic and a little bit rigid. But the reason why I've not worn this one, it was just too big. Not enough adjustment holes for me, unfortunately, so I've had to put it on a different strap, which I've got it on this one. So this is one I picked up from Amazon, and it looks okay on this watch. I think the original looks better, but the quality of this one is pretty decent. Anyway, so what I'll do is pop it on wrist and show you what it wears like. And here it is on wrist, and you can see I actually really like how it looks. We've got no AR on that crystal though, which is a little bit annoying, but for the price point, you know, they can't have everything. But yeah, I think it's got a nice little look on wrist. The lug to lug, you know, is just nice for my wrist. You can see it fits really nicely, and I think the dial as well is a nice size. I think they've got the proportions really nice, so you've got a good, visible and clean dial, even though it's very, very compact. And I just think it's an actual real comfortable watch to wear. I was not expecting it, to be quite honest, because it's so slender and so thin. I thought, you know, it might wear a little bit funny, but you know what, it's not too bad. I mean, there's the profile. You can see it sits really flat, and there's no like gaps or anything. Those lugs, you know, a little bit funny, and it doesn't really do any favors for bringing down the strap nicely. I just think because of how they're designed. But yeah, it's comfortable, oddly. I think that's partly down to the strap as well. It's a really comfortable strap. But yeah, the watch is, I don't know, it's a really funny one. I'd expect it to be really uncomfortable just because it's not that ergonomic in terms of its design. It's definitely more aesthetics driven than ergonomics driven, but it still works and it's still comfortable. So I'm quite surprised by that. I just was not expecting it. I was thinking it's so slim. It's going to be quite, you know, I just didn't think it would wear nice is what I'm trying to say. But it surprised me. You know, like, you know, the watch as a whole, it's really surprised me for the price point. And yeah, it's not the most comfortable watch I've ever worn. It's not the most comfortable dress watch I've ever worn or ever owned. But you know what? It's nice. It slips under a cuff really easily just because of how slim it is. So yeah, I mean, it's not the most comfortable watch, but it's more comfortable than what I was anticipating. And I think, again, this strap does help quite a lot because that one is a little bit rigid. So even though it's decent quality, you probably would want to swap it for an aftermarket one anyway. Right guys, and now we're going to get on to the last category, which is the movement. So this is a mechanical movement. As you can see, it's so slim, has no rotor inside it, so it is super quiet in operation. Obviously we've got that small seconds complication, and I'm just going to show you how it all works. So as is, it's just a push-pull crown. So your first stage here is actually your winding stage, and you can see you can wind it. Now this doesn't have overwind protection, so just be careful you don't overwind the watch. Because it is like an older mechanical movement, so you can actually overwind and damage it. So you do get a little bit of resistance. You can feel the crown sort of pull back towards you when you turn it, and that's letting you know, I've pretty much had enough, don't wind me anymore. And that way, so it's kind of like overwind protection because it sort of gives you feedback, but you can actually carry on winding it and it will damage it. So you just have to be mindful of that when you're actually using it. So this movement is the caliber 2403, 17 joules, 19,800 beats per hour, which is quite unusual. Negative 20 to plus 60 per day, so it's not accurate at all. A 38-hour reserve and a 10-year service interval, which is really, really impressive for a watch at this price point. So yeah, you don't need to get it serviced for 10 years, which is crazy. I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but yeah, really cool. So the movement will probably last longer than the watch. So let's show you how it works. So you can see we just pull the crown out and there you go. You can adjust the time. The crown, like I said, it's a little bit awkward with it being so close to the lug, but it's easy to use if you've got really slender fingers. If you've got really thick and broad fingers, then it's not the easiest to grip and you're going to be knocking that lug quite often. In operation though, it's really nice and smooth. Got no complaints with it, and yeah, I just once you like figure out you have to sort of like pinch it instead of like getting a proper grip on it, it works fine. And the crown is actually, even though it's so small, the grip is decent, so you can actually get a good purchase on it. So although it's not the best design with it being so close to the lug, it actually works surprisingly well. So now we're going to get onto the verdict and the price I paid. So this one was 3,590 Russian rubles. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Which equates to around £37. You do have to pay for shipping as well, but it's not that much. It works out at a couple of quid from Vostok Inc. And yeah, for the price point, I can't find fault with it really. If it was like 50-60 quid, I'd probably nitpick a little bit more, especially about the crown and perhaps the strap. But for like under 40 quid, I can't really fault it at all. If you want an unusual dress watch, from a brand that has history and heritage, and obviously isn't something, you still don't see them all that often really. Especially like out and about on, the high street, you're not going to see another one of these at all, which I suppose makes it a little bit cooler than most. But yeah, for under 40 quid, for quirky and cool little dress watch with a bit of history, I think that is an absolute steal in my opinion. So this one will be linked in the description. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads, and of course follow me on social media at Mr. Budget Watch. Thanks again, I'll see you soon.